All right, so this week's episode, guys, is Inside Star Citizen missions to make. Someone said that Elliot's not in it, which is a big disappointment. But yeah, here we go. Let's see what they got for us.
Missions in video games are more than just a way to tell a story or give a player things to do. They're also a way to drive players to explore areas they might otherwise miss, to encounter aspects of gameplay they might otherwise not attempt. And for developers, they're often a way to push the development of new features, or in the parlance of the mission feature team, new verbs for their systemic mission design system. And one new mission or global event from MFT can lead to 10 others being created by designers on sandbox teams around the world. So on today's show, we're exploring 2 currently being developed, starting with Data Heist.
Data Heist, okay.
So Data Heist is a brand new mission coming to the Star Citizen persistent universe. It'll be one of the first missions from the organization of Bit Zero. Bit Zero are an organization of hackers. They're kind of rich kids that have kind of taken on the hobby of hacking and trying to almost being Robin Hood. They want to do things, but again, they're a bunch of rich kids. They don't know, ripping off a merchant for such amount of money is even a big thing for that merchant.
So the player will take the mission, head to the location. In this case, we are using the UGFs. Once you're inside the facility,
oh, this is what we saw, guys, in PTU.
Gain access to the mainframe.
Now you can do that in multiple ways. We have hacking still in the PU, where you can use a crypto key. And there's also other methods that might be at the location that will help you access those mainframes, but I'll leave that for you to find.
Once you've hacked into there, you then have to allow the hacker into the system. And then from that point on, he will do all of the heavy lifting with the uploading of the data from the servers. But what you have to do is maintain the safety of those servers so that their upload can actually follow through.
We will then start to give you a couple of enemies populating the area because they're responding to, your invasion of their property.
They'll come in and you'll fight them. At the same time, there's going to be the owners of those servers. Although they're not on site, they actually have the ability to remote into their system.
Not all of them, but I hope some of these have like PvP counter missions. Not all of them.
Systems, and they're probably not very happy with the idea that you're trying to steal their data.
During the mission, you will find that some of these servers will start to overheat. Now that's because the people that own the location are deciding we can't kick out this hacker from the location, but we can try and either halt you or stop you from getting the data.
They turn off the cooling on these servers. And so when the cooling's turned off, they're basically trying to melt down their servers, destroy the data. So they'd rather have a scenario where they destroy their data than let you have it.
You then have to look around the area, try and solve why they're overheating, and if you can try and stop that. That will be one of the big situations during this mission.
Oh, okay.
It basically just continues like that. You have a certain amount that you're supposed to have uploaded, and you need to defend them, and then you have to turn them back on, and it just continues like this until you
That's
either
better than I
succeed
thought this was going to be, actually.
You fail.
Data Heist is a mission for
Almost
morally
engineering.
great people. I wouldn't ever say that it was for the good or the bad. In its first implementation, you will be infiltrating security locations, security UGFs. So at this point in time, it is unlawful.
It's a defend a thing mission, but we're adding some more interesting lore and complexity to this mission, where it's not just defending something from taking damage. We're adding this extra layer of gameplay for a player. It's how they can be destroyed. It's adding extra layers. So it's not just a physical destruction. It's also this concept of the data on this server being destroyed. So we wanted to take these two things and have them in one.
My favorite thing about the mission is possibly the things that it could open doorways for. The fact that it's the first mission for the Bit Zero is super exciting for me. I'm a fan of other video games that involve hacking, and having an entire organization revolving hacking is super exciting for me.
The mission feature team's role isn't just to make new missions, it's also to make the tools that content teams will take on and give new life to.
One such way in Data Heist, for example, is a module that's focusing on randomization. They will target a random server in the room just to get you moving around the UGF so that it keeps you on your toes during the mission. But this can be utilized by other designers.
A lot of bounty hunting opportunities from this.
Anything to do with randomization as well. So instead of always seeing the spawns from the spawn closets being at the same time, 5 minutes in or anything like that, you could be kept on your toes.
And
as a server admin and a security guy, this stuff bothers me. Watching watching hacking in movies. Desync, listen, bro. I don't know if you heard this, but some hackers just got upwards of it was like $15-20 million out of Vegas by literally social engineering. So I think this scenario is completely realistic. I got to be completely honest. Human factor is the weakest link.
with a mission like Data Heist, that gives us several new tools in the toolbox.
Just saying.
And in addition to the standard missions that populate the verse, the mission feature team is always examining and reevaluating the global events that run throughout the year. Do they perform the way we intend they should? Not just in frame rate, but also in engagement, enjoyment, enchantment, entertainment. And if they're not, perhaps they need enhancement or extinguishment. And the new global event Blockade Runner hopes to be just a little bit of both.
Blockade Runner actually replaces 9.
Yeah, so just a little bit on that. It'd actually be really cool if that's kind of how the mission worked, is you had to like social engineer a little bit, right? Where like it was like, hey, we're going to set you up with a contract that's like defend the site, right? But then when you get in there, you turn on the guards and then it turns into the hacking mission. You know what I mean? Like, I think that'd actually be a really cool way to do it.
Nine Tails Lockdown. We analyzed Nine Tails Lockdown and we looked at participation in that global event. And we also looked at what players did in it. So participation in Nine Tails Lockdown wasn't actually that high. We realized like there's no point maintaining this global event if no one plays it, you know? We looked back at the other ones that we had made, like Xenothreat, and looked at the gameplay in those that players do engage with and they enjoy. And that was the aspect of going on those wrecks in Xenothreat, picking up the crates and delivering them. They enjoy this experience. They enjoy working together as a team to do it. So we thought, what can we do with that and make a new event?
Hold on a second. Is it the fact that Nine Tails Lockdown wasn't fun, or was it the fact that literally not a single time that I ever played it, it ever worked? Which one was stopping people from playing? I don't know. Literally, Nine Tails Lockdown didn't successfully complete for the bad guy side once. And even if you weren't playing the bad guy side, a lot of times it didn't complete for the good guy side either. Not a single time. So I don't know if I really buy this. Nobody played it. Because to be honest with you, that's not... I mean, I thought lots of people tried Nine Tails Lockdown. It was just unsuccessful because it didn't work, I thought. Yeah, I'm not saying that everyone loved Nine Tails Lockdown, but again, every time I played it, it had major issues. Every time. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'm not saying that this is an event that's fun for everyone, but I have to imagine a majority or a lot of the people who didn't play it was because it literally did not work. A lot of times it literally just did not work. It didn't complete. Scanning ships didn't show up. The next phases never started. Sometimes even if you did protect the scanning ships, the next phase didn't start. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. It didn't show. It was very confusing. You guys remember how they changed the color of people's pips, right? It was like if you were a bad guy, but you're on the Nine Tails side, then everyone went blue, except for sometimes they also went red, and then you would shoot them anyways. And then sometimes you would shoot people and it wouldn't be that way.
Scam. Netcode bad. Jib Crucible.
Yeah. I'm just saying there were lots of weird issues with Nine Tails Lockdown. I don't think they can sum it all up to people just didn't like it. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Something that players will instantly
yeah, it was a slideshow as well. Sounds like Xeno, honestly.
We came up with this idea of Blockade Runner.
Blockade Runner is a new global event that we've been working on. In this event, there's a criminal faction that sets a blockade around some of the space stations in the universe. This makes trade and travel between these stations problematic, and their goal in doing this is to prevent the trade of one specific material that is important for the refinement of spaceship fuel.
The idea is that a player will be called to help deliver a new commodity that is involved in the production of quantum fuel and deliver it from
Raw quantanium fuel exports are being prevented from leaving Evers Harbor. Raw quantanium needs to be delivered to HURL-2 and HURL-1 before it expires. Raw quantanium can be commercially traded at the admin from the infected stations until the blockade has been resolved. Okay, interesting.
from our LEO stations, like Everest Harbor, to its refinery sister stations. And we have to deliver a certain amount of this within a certain narrow amount of time.
This material has a short half-life, so if it's not stored properly at a specific facility, then it will expire and become worthless, and you'll have to try again.
When you arrive at the LEO, there'll be like a blockade from criminals, and you will have to get through that blockade, land, buy this commodity as much as you can fit on your ship, then you'll have to take off.
What if you're on a whole
and then
sea?
you'll have to brave the blockade again, and then QT to one of
Chat, there is no way this goes well for people who are doing the good guy side of this. There is no way. This is a massive oversight, in my opinion. What are they thinking, dude? There is going to be a torpedo sitting outside of every hangar. And you're buying it with
Did
your own
someone
cash,
say
too.
scam?
Crazy.
I completely agree. This streamer and game is an absolute scam. Damn his perfect hair
Dude.
and beard too.
They just need to talk to us, man. What are they thinking, dude? I think it's going to be fun for us, Airborne. It's going to be fun for us. Yeah, exactly. Where's the boarding and teamwork they talked about? That's a great point. Where's the boarding and teamwork they just literally talked about adding to the event? Is it coming? Oh my God. Don't get me wrong, guys. I'll do it. It will be fun for the bad guy side. It's going to be really fun for the bad guy side.
the refineries. On the way, you may be interdicted by more of these criminals who don't want you to get away.
Target destroyed.
And then on the other side, a blockade, but you'll have to get through that. Then you will land, and then you will sell. So there's this delivery loop for players. Not every ship will be best suited for dealing with these guys without, some escorts. So the idea
This is Ninetales Lockdown again with extra steps.
that players will also take this mission and support those other players in combat ships.
Maybe you delegate one person with the big tanker ship and others to fend off any enemies along the way. At its core, Blockade Runner is a combination of the cargo transport and selling and space combat. One of the things I like most about Star Citizen is the space combat. I've never really been much of an FPS player, but I do like space combat.
I'm so
and
confused.
One of the big elements of Blockade Runner is space combat. The stakes are higher, so if you screw up, you don't just simply regenerate. You regenerate and have to buy all your cargo again, so watch out for that. As the dev, I've been playing this entirely by myself up till now. We're going to be going through some playtests soon, so we'll be able
They're gonna have to change
experience
it.
the mission properly, but thus far I've been playing it solo with a ship that can both fight and transport.
What ship are you?
The Cutlass Black. It's the best ship for everything.
So, what did we learn this week? Well, we learned that missions like Data Heist don't just give players more ways to play, they also give mission designers more tools to play with.
I'm not even saying that it needs to be me. I'm just saying there are lots of people who are experienced at the game, not even me, guys, right? Like for Master Modes, for example, I want them to be looping in some of these people who are like some of the best PvPers in the game, and they know who they are, right? Like a lot of very good PvPers need to be involved in, you know, how combat works in the game, I think. You know, the people who have their ear to the ground. Same with traders, like looping in traders for events like this, like figuring out who trades the most, what are the most prominent orgs for trading, and loop them into stuff like this. Like, I don't know. What's different about this besides it's multi-station Ninetales Lockdown? Don't get me wrong, guys. I'll play it. I'll have fun blowing people up 100%. But this seems like it's going to be really painful. Really, really painful for people who are involved with the trading if they get any resistance. Now we'll see. Biggest difference is there's no area-wide QED. Right. Right. Yeah, we'll see. I guess you'll have to escort. Sure. They need to improve the customization of ships. Like in what way? I mean, I don't know what that has to do with this specific mission, but in what way do you mean? They didn't mention any PvP. Well, I mean, it's happening in the PU, so I would have to imagine that there's PvP going on. Are they just like claiming that you won't be able to join the enemy side? Because, I mean, guys, people are going to join the enemy side. 100%. Yeah, and you're risking your own AUEC too? This is crazy. I don't know. It's just like they literally said, we're going to find more ways for people to be interactive with each other. And, you know, like the box delivery stuff from Xeno. And then the whole idea was just Ninetales Lockdown, but 2 stations. I don't know. I think people will do it if the profit is large enough. But if the profit isn't like mega, mega, mega good, then I think it's DOA as well. Yeah. Dead on arrival unless the profit's really good.
That like every other aspect of Star Citizen, global events are continuously evaluated and
buffing station
refined
defense is a good idea.
Rebuilt and replaced when needed. And that blockade runner is just that, meant to replace the former Ninetales Lockdown before the end of this year. Now, don't forget that there's just 3 weeks until CitizenCon 2953, the now 2-day event emanating from the Los Angeles Convention Center, where you'll get the biggest concentration of Star Citizen info, technology, features, visuals, and more, all beamed into your brains via Twitch. Or if you're there in person, by just following Mark Gibson around all day and asking about his Hercules voice. I can still hear it when I look at the C1. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thank you for letting us share the process of game development with you. And we'll see you all here next week.
Well, I don't know. Like, I'm a little bit confused. When they say, like, they're taking over a station, does that mean the turrets at the station are going to be hostile to non-pirates? Maybe not, but it kind of made it seem that way. It just feels like they're doing the opposite of what they said their goal was for the dynamic event. It did look that way in the video, but I mean, I could be wrong, guys. Good point. So if the turrets can blow up, however, the problem is currently turrets have a extremely fast respawn rate. So unless they gave the SBK treatment to turrets at stations, that's also a bad thing. But it would be a really cool event if you had to like show up, take down turrets, disable them permanently, right? Until the event's over. Or maybe like, you know, God forbid, pirates who are on the enemy team could repair them maybe. Or I don't know, something, right? Like dynamic like that to make like it a little more interesting. But it feels to me like there needs to be more of like a contract. It needs to be some sort of special commodity that can only be bought and sold at the event, right? Unobtainium, right? And you have to move it from Everest Harbor to Hurl 1. And if you get it there, you can only sell. You can't take it to Brio's Breaker Yard, but it's something you pick up from the station. You take it there, and that's where you know you get paid to deliver it to. You still get the profit, but you don't have to have the quite as much risk. That's the only way I see this working. What's the incentive for red players? I mean, they haven't talked about them, but if it's the same as Ninetales Lockdown, you got paid to take down people who were trading these kind of goods. Yeah, they're different teams for sure, but yeah, this one seems weird. We'll just have to see how it plays out, but I don't know.
So far, yeah. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the space combat, so that element works pretty well for me. Buying and selling cargo is fine too. Cut that part.
Oh my God. Why did they keep that in? Why did they keep that in? Why did they think that was a good idea to keep that in? Hey, I'm the dev designing this mission, and I think that the main part about this mission is actually boring. What? Okay. All right. Well, we'll have to see how it plays whenever it gets into the verse, guys. But hopefully it plays good. I don't know. We could be wrong. Like, remember how it seemed like Siege Orson, for example, was such like a cool, like, dynamic event, and it is, but there's like a lot of issues from it. After we got in game, we realized like, oh, this is a mission that feels like it needs to be instanced because like you can get left behind and like you can join a server and it's already almost done and you know, blah, 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 blah. Right. It's one of those things that sometimes is like best to be tested in game, but I hope they're open to feedback once we get playtest going. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, best of luck to them for the mission because I think it could be good. If they sort everything out, but it seems like it's gonna need some feedback for sure. It's gonna need some tweaks. It could be really fun, I think.